Hey guys, welcome to week 2. So what are we doing in week 2? So here's our agenda. So we've got units 3 and 4 that we're going to be taking a look at. Unit 3, that's going to be focusing on how to read and interpret the architect's scale. Now I'm not going to make you guys do a ton of work in this unit, but what I want you to do is read it and understand, you know, what the importance is of a scale. I'm not making you guys into architects, but you should really understand how to use a simple scale. So for example, 1/4 inch equals a foot is a very common scale that you're going to see in blueprint reading. 3/8 equals a foot, that's another one. So you're going to see those referenced on blueprints. So get familiar with that. Unit 4, I think, is a little bit more important. Okay, so Unit 4 is focusing on the alphabet of lines. All right, so that's some of the communication that we're going to be using, in learning how to interpret these construction drawings. All right, so Units 3 and 4 is what we've got on tap this week. And then, of course, the assignments, obviously, we're going to read it. Take some notes, and then we'll just click on the week 2 assignment link and complete the questions. Again, there's 15 questions and it's worth 30 points. And then after you've wrapped the questions up, you're going to submit to me your short journal entry paragraph telling me a few things that you learned this week. Okay, so that's basically it for the agenda. What I thought I would do is just show you a couple of things. What you're going to learn is, what I would recommend you do is get to know a few of these lines and a few of these things from the alphabet of lines. All right, so in Unit 4, there's like a little chart on page 19. That's a good one. But dimension and extension lines, those are easy to basically see on these floor plans. Okay, so if I were to blow this up, we've got extension lines and then dimension lines. All right, so as you read, know where some of this kind of stuff is. Those things are going to be in many times on the floor plans. All right, extension, dimension, extension, dimension. All right, and then within the extension and dimension lines, there's going to be chain dimensions all over in here, and you can see that we've got 4 feet, 19 feet, 5.5, and then up above it, a lot of times you're going to see one whole dimension to like right here. We've got 36 feet. So you notice that there's a bunch of different rows of dimensions, a lot of chain dimensions down here, then we get some smaller dimensions, and then at the very top, if I asked you a question like, hey, what is the overall width of the 2-bedroom or 2-unit apartment, and you would tell me, Alan, by God, that's 72 feet, because that's way up here. It's from the edge of this corner to the edge of this corner. Okay, so there's lots of different types of extension dimension lines. Object lines are really dark, solid lines. You'll learn about that, so you're seeing that there. The dash lines. Dash lines are going to be very important to get to know. Hidden lines. When you think about hidden lines and dash lines or phantom lines you're going to read about, those are always going to be things that you really can't see if you were actually physically looking at them. They're going to be things that are unseen. So an example would be, I will take you to, let's go to this rear elevation. So if you're looking at these dashed lines, you guys, picture yourself standing on the ground, which is represented by this object line or this solid line here. The rest of this stuff is in the ground, right? But it is showing where this would be if there wasn't any earth, backfilled up against it. All right, so when you think about this, you're going to see a lot of dashed lines like this in foundation plans. It's going to be showing a lot of the footings and things like that, and elevation plans where you're in the ground like this. So those are your dash lines. All of the solid lines, you know, on the outside of this are going to be object lines. And then lastly, get to know leader lines. So what is a leader line? The easiest way to show you is like right here on the section view. All of the materials here, guys, that are listed are showing a leader line, which is this line with an arrow here. Okay. Now, you know, why do architects do that? And you can see some really funky ones here. Well, because if they were to like draw all of the and write all of this right where the materials go, think of how boggled up and horrendous it would be to try to read that. So they do this, you know, to save the space and to do it in a more organized and manner so that we, the layman folks, the guys that are actually going to do the work, can frickin' read it, right? So as you get going in this journey, what you're going to find is all the architects who draw these plans all have their own style. And what you're going to see, guys, is we're going to have a love-hate relationship with them because we're the guys that build the stuff. We're not the ones that draw it. So what do you think we want out of this? We want a plan that we can pick out information very, very easily, you know. So we want it to be easy to read, and we want the information to be easy to understand so that when we're out there on the job site, we're not standing around with our fingers in our mouths trying to figure out what the heck's going on, right? So these are some examples of that. There's more lines. Here would be an example of a break line. Okay, so we're going to get to know this kind of stuff, you know, in a lot greater detail. And then we will be, I guess, putting those skills to use because you're gonna be using it as this course just keeps progressing. All right. One other one would be a center line, and I'm not sure if I can quickly pick one out here. Center lines you're going to see a lot of times in foundation plans where there's post pads or column pads for you know, beams and things like that. What does that look like? Maybe I'll tell you what, I think there might be a center line. Oh, maybe I'm wrong on this plan because this doesn't have a basement. We're not seeing it here. I don't see one here. We will see that, I guess, down the road. Oh, right here would be a center line, guys, on this roof plan. So right here, this line here with this dash and two dots and then a dash and a dot, and you'll see a little thing, you know, it says CL, center line of the building. Okay, so since this is a duplex, it's basically like having two units, so this is going to be cut right down the center. All right, so this week, focus a lot of your time on those alphabet of lines. It's important to know. And then we will just build off of that. So have a good week. As always, any questions, use the discussion board, or you can get a hold of me via email or text or phone call. Have a good week.